Hi, my name is Nick, and I fell into the rabbit hole. My first NFT purchase was a scam. I fell for it because because I was inexperienced, because I was taken by FOMO, from the fear of missing out. And when I saw that this project was launching or just launched, I rushed to the website to buy it, and I fell for a collection that was pretending to be that collection.
I actually thought the idea of NFTs were quite silly and stupid at first.
I remember like looking at it and being like, it just sounds like ridiculous why anyone is paying that much for a JPEG, right?
I always thought of it as a casino, and that's what my initial thoughts were.
I was a big skeptic for a long time until like June, and then I was like, okay, maybe this is pretty cool.
I think it was a friend that texted me about Beeple's NFT that sold for 69 millions. And we were like, what is this? I didn't know what NFTs were at the time, so I was trying to figure out, why is this selling for so much?
Okay, but what is an NFT? NFTs are tokens that live on a blockchain and represent ownership of unique items. Why is that helpful? Well, tracking who owns a digital file is tricky because it can be copied and distributed effortlessly. So how can you prove who's the original owner when everyone has an identical copy of the file? NFTs solve this problem. Imagine that you made a piece of digital art, essentially a JPEG on your computer. You can create or mint an NFT out of this. The NFT that represents your art contains a bit of information about it, such as a unique fingerprint of the file, a token name, and a symbol. This token is then stored onto a blockchain and you become the owner.
When I first got into NFTs, it was during a bull run, which is a very, very positive moment for a market.
Was absolutely like a wild time. It was like this new technology that was in the space. The crypto markets were like doing super well.
Everything was new, everything was an experiment.
It was a sentiment of general happiness and euphoria.
Project would like reach like millions of dollars worth of like market cap in a matter of like a couple of weeks and stuff.
You could literally mint a project one day and make a whole bunch of money, tens of thousands of dollars sometimes. It is crazy.
One thing that really kind of started to play in my head was the idea of using this new technology, this new world that I fallen into, to make films. And I kind of noticed how many projects were raising a lot of money, doing very little. A lot of projects didn't have really much of a plan. And I had a plan. I was like, oh, I want to make films, and I want to even give back to the others. So I started to play with this idea and be like, okay, what about if I make a project that produces a film? And I was like, this could work. So I started looking at NFTs in a different way and try to understand, okay, if I was to do something like this, how would I do that?
At the time, the only thing I looked at it is similar to like trading cards, but digital. Past that, that's where you start seeing what, owning a NFT can be.
We need to specify that people's NFT is a digital piece of art. But what I got fascinated about was digital collectibles NFTs.
I remember being in Clubhouse, and I saw a bunch of like random people who started changing their profile pictures to these like apes. And it was quite fascinating because a lot of these people did not know each other. Some people were from some people were tech people, and some of people were artists, and some people were like really OG crypto people. So it was people from like different facets of technology kind of coming under one umbrella, one community. So I was like, this seems interesting.
If you think about it, we are living online all the time. And, more and more the newer generations are used to interacting with each other online more than ever. So I thought it makes a lot of sense for people to have digital identities and digital properties, right? That they can because at the end of the day, you show who you are by what you consume. So it's like when you wear certain clothes or, whatever you buy, it's showing a part of who you are. So it's communicating who you are. But if you're interacting online, it makes sense that what you buy online and your online property and your online identity are communicating a part of you, right?
That's when like the whole concept of PFPs started making more and more sense, because now we were like, okay, what these PFPs are, they're also digital identities. And the more we become digital, the more we are spending time online, we want to find that sense of belonging that transcends our understanding of the current in real life world, something that has to be native to the digital space.
Bored Ape was not one of the first NFT created, but it had this image that really connected with people in the space, and people came together in a very genuine way. There was not this idea of making money so much as what it became after,
But really, I think the secret sauce to them was that Discord channel, right? Like they created this club exclusive to the apes, and people were like, I don't get it, man. But after that, it just grew and grew, and now everybody has a Discord and a club, but they did it first, and they got like the biggest brains out there to be part of this club, and now it's kind of like a very elite place.
I kind of was curious about the possibility of these clubs, these token-gated communities. What can you do together with other people from all over the world that you don't know, but they have an interest in common? So what can you do? What can you create? That was what fascinated me.
So I decided to launch my own project. First, I had to look for an artist. And after brainstorming some ideas, we started working on a collection that would be aiming at financing the production of a feature film and hopefully benefit from its release. The project was called
Cheeky Monkey Film Club,
a collection made of 10,000 NFTs featuring ET-looking monkeys, each with film-inspired traits. The most famous blockchain for NFTs was Ethereum. But during a bull run, Ethereum had projects launching every day, and it would have been difficult to bring eyes to our project. So we decided to prepare to launch on another blockchain called Terra. I was quite familiar with Terra and the Terra community. I actually had the opportunity to mint the very first NFT launched on Terra, the Galactic Punks.
It's actually quite funny. It is Galactic Punks' 2-year birthday today. Galactic Punks is 2 years old. So you timed this very, very well.
Minting the Galactic Punks was exciting. And this is something I want to touch upon, because there is excitement in minting NFTs, especially when you're minting like a very hyped collection.
Everyone was just ecstatic. it was incredible. Like the feeling around the mint, the minute it minted out, to have a first PFP collection on Terra, we had first mover advantage there as well.
We gathered with one of my friends in my place, and we did it together. It was really nice. We were shouting and celebrating because there was this possibility of not being able to mint because too many people were trying to mint. So you had to be quick. So you had to sign a transaction very quickly and do all the things. And we didn't know if we succeeded or not. So it was really, really exciting.
I think we hit multiple millions of trading volume in the first day, like an insane amount. I'd actually like to go back and have a look at that. I'm pretty confident that we would have possibly been close to setting a record there because it was insane.
Terra had a strong community around it, and the supporters of Terra were called lunatics, because the main token of Terra was called Luna, and Luna, together with its community, was on the rise since early 2021.
It felt like the start of a movement. It felt like the start of something that was seriously going to challenge the world's view of how things should operate and how things should work.
There is no other layer 1 blockchain which has a community like Terra did. The Lunatics were just something completely different. Like, everyone who is involved in that ecosystem lived and breathed Terra. Everyone was on socials, like, ramming Terra down people's throats. Like, that just doesn't exist anymore.
So I can't, just to understand better, I can't give money back, basically, to the holders. Otherwise, it would look like an investment. Mm-hmm. What I wanted to do was to give back the revenue coming from the exploitation of the film to the holders. This is something that I learned quite quickly that I couldn't do, because that would make NFT act as securities. But if you were speaking with lawyers, they could advise you on how to do things in a way that wouldn't encounter legal problems. So yeah, no, there are ways to give back to the holders that it's not necessarily money. Yeah. But because the thing is that obviously people want to know what they're gonna get back. How would the world, define this technology? How can you create an environment where you are safe in using this technology? We had to still wait for that to happen, and that created a lot of uncertainty.
At the end of the day, that's part of the game. You got to push the limits. You got to push the boundaries. You have to try new things, right? Most innovation happens at the boundaries of the law, where things aren't certain and there's gray areas, but that is what allows you to experiment and come up with new things that haven't been come up with before.
In like this current state, it's very difficult to try and plan out a project which will be within the boundaries of any legal requirements. Like, it's unfeasible to try and plan that out.
But I also believe that just comply wherever possible, but don't let it restrict you totally, right?
We decided to go on with the project, trying to do things that wouldn't have complications later. But before advertising the project, I decided to talk with some founders I knew to get some feedback.
A monkey character, has been done several times already in this space. right? So if you go with something that's a little bit more different, then as soon as people see that character on Twitter, well, then they'll be like, hey, this is from the cheeky rhinoceroses project, and they'd be like, wow, this is a really cool project. They're kind of related to the film industry. They're making a movie. So I feel like that'd be better for you in terms of like branding, and in terms of I feel like that would make it more special.
Yeah, man, it makes sense. I agree, and I think it's worth spending a bit of time to find another character.
This little obstacle revealed itself to be a very lucky coincidence, because we were about to experience something that shook the crypto ecosystem as a whole. And I, together with many other lunatics, were about to be hit hard.
This is a very bumpy story that we're looking at here right now. We saw a spike a little while ago. That's faded very quickly. Just walk us what we've seen throughout this morning.
Terra's UST is down 46% to 49 cents in 24 hours. So that depegging is much more drastic.
The question now, we did have Do Kwon, the leader of the Terra UST project, tweeting about 20 minutes ago that he has a rescue plan.
Somewhat worrying chatter on Twitter about people thinking that because this has gone down 99%, it has to go up again. And that is not true.
Terra Luna, basically a $55 billion crypto economy that incorporated a programmable or sort of algorithmic stablecoin UST, as well as its sort of sister token Luna, both crashed, wiping out about $56 billion of user funds.
It's exactly a week since one of the biggest, supposedly most stable cryptocurrencies took a massive tumble. It's still down since then, and the crash sent shockwaves throughout the community of users. One popular token, Terra Luna, lost 99% of its value, from a high of $118 to just 9 cents, spooking investors and sending cryptocurrency markets plummeting.
How did you feel? How was that moment after the crash?
Oof. I felt numb. I actually felt numb. Didn't feel anything, and I did have this feeling that, okay, I fucked up big time.
Where do I start? It's was just heartbreaking. Like, I remember the weeks afterwards, and I had no idea what to do with myself.
I don't think people really understand how much we lost, like, for those that weren't part of the DPEG.
In hindsight, I feel like a little bit like a scam victim, but like I can't bring myself to believe that Do Kwon really was a scammer. I still can't, even a year later.
Seeing all these people who had actually held it all the way to zero, or were like fighting their liquidations all the way down to zero, and yeah, it was awful. I just it like ripped away part of who I was at the time. Like, part of my identity was being a lunatic. Part of my identity was being part of Terra. And having that removed was like almost almost felt like a violation.
It was a tough lesson to learn.
At that moment in time, I thought, well, what's happened has happened, and I have no control over it. But what we do have control over now is how we respond to it. And that's what makes and breaks people. And I was really proud of the response of the community in terms of how we dealt with it.
You know, just the sheer level of compassion from the members of community. Just, you know, that's something that is very special. We're all strangers on the internet. And, you know, we all pulled together during this time of you know, really, really awful trauma. So, and that's absolutely remarkable. That is the kind of unity that you do not see from strangers a lot.
We learned the hard way, but you know, the amazing thing about the NFT community is that some of these NFT communities managed to survive that, and that is the whole reason we're even having this conversation in this interview, is because one of those communities that we're both part of survived, and not only survived, but is thriving a year later.
I guess our coping strategy was to talk to each other, and we were on voice chat throughout the day to support each other and just to talk about and understand what the heck has actually happened, because there were people that lost 6-7 figures.
You know, I recognize that in difficult times, that's when people need you the most, right? When times are good, you can just let the Discord go and, you know, not even engage on Twitter. People are going to be entertaining themselves and they're going to be happy. But when times are difficult, that's what you really need to step up, and you need to show leadership, and you need to take care of the community, and you need to show them the way. So we already had a very, very good, authentic community that was taking care of each other. So, you know, the only thing we did is we were there. Like I said earlier, the number 2 most important thing to do in a community outside of having a common goal is to show up. And now whenever there's a dip, people in Rec Gang, we're mostly laughing and joking about it nowadays, right? Because we've been through the worst. So it kind of makes things easier now at the same time.
NFT New York came in a very particular moment. It was just 1.5 months after the crush. And I had purchased tickets before. So in some way, I wanted to go because I didn't want to leave everything behind and just forget about it. But there was a part of me that was like, maybe you should, you know, leave everything and forget. I decided to go. And it was amazing. What I've experienced before New York, it was digital. All interactions were online. You knew that there was a bond, a connection, but it kind of made it real, you know what I mean? It's like meeting people that you kind of interacted with for months, and seeing them and see all these people that were excited about this. It brought back hope into my journey. It made me feel that I was into something.
It's just like an amazing experience. Like, you feel like you've met these people and you've known these people all your life.
It's the best feeling ever. Like, I can't even begin to explain. It just feels like you're part of like a bigger thing. It feels like family.
And you know, like I said before, it does give me goosebumps. Like, just to be able to meet everybody, and the blessing of using this event as a way to let's connect. And that's really what it's about, I think.
NFTs sort of allowed me to get in touch with like this set of people who are interested and are really passionate about art. And that's the thing that made me jump in. And I started engaging with the community and started understanding how things work. It's been amazing.
It's not as easy to make like lifelong friends, but in the last 2 years in the NFT space, I probably made more friends just because we hold on to monkey JPEGs than any other point in my life. So that's what I love about it.
I come back and I call back all the people that were involved in the project before, and I was like, we can do it somewhere else. It seems like everything is going down, but this is going to stay. So we got back to work. We changed the character of the project. We started advertising it. We opened the Discord. We started engaging with the people, but things were not moving. The space was different. It was not the same Web3 that I knew from the bull run. People were not there. Like, we're not engaging, we're not spending much money. And it was difficult to actually get people to be excited about a project. Projects were launching for free. We couldn't launch for free because we had to raise money to produce something. So it was a different environment, and it was not the right environment to launch that project.
We were in a bear market. The bear market brought a lot of negativity, depression, and self-reflection. What was all of this about? Were we all just victims of a huge bubble?
When you just strip it all down and you're like, what is the point of it? Why is everyone here? It's like, okay, to make money.
The minting process, the hype process, the influencers, the community sometimes can bring up those feelings to do it again and again and again and become a part of a community.
It was like that for me. It's like you get that dopamine rush. Oh, maybe you might pull a rare. I mean, it's still like that to this day, but less likely, I guess. I've matured along the way. I don't mint to mint anymore. I mint with a purpose. But it's still, that you get that low dopamine rush whenever you try.
Yeah, and addiction is an issue that you have to work internally and externally. I was an heroin addict for about more than 10 years, for about 15 years. So I know how is the feeling or the sentiment that you can feel when you have those addict impulses. And you can be an addict of anything, like NFTs.
I think the best thing to do is to just give up on the project. We definitely cannot launch for free.
I started doubting everything about what I was doing. It was tough.
Essentially, it's just a support group for gambling addicts that are just keeping each other there and supporting each other, because if they don't, it would be a really dark place. And in a way, it's quite sad. Wow, I'm going down a very negative.
Yeah, man, you're changing the documentary completely. Instead of falling into a rabbit hole, it's like, what did I get myself into?
But it's interesting to see different perspectives at different times.
You know, it seems trivial. It's just people showing up on Twitter or Discord and saying good morning to each other. But, you know, when one of our community members went missing for a week or 2 weeks and didn't show up in the Discord, people were very concerned, right?
It was beautiful in the sense of what a utopian community can be, because you have people from all over the world, different parts of the world, different time zones, different ethnic backgrounds, different languages, all linking together in order to find a lost community member.
crypto is a place where, you know, a lot of bad things can happen, because you could lose everything, and then what, you know?
During the bear market, many articles started to appear, making me feel worse and worse. My experience of being part of this world was not represented. And all the potential I saw in NFTs was hidden by the ruthless clickbait news game.
How can I share my experience of what it means to hold an NFT? How can somebody that is outside understand this, instead of reading about scams, reading about Ponzi's, about NFTs and being a bubble and inflated prices? You know, who are the people that are holding NFTs? What do they want? What do they look for? And what did they find in this journey?
It was getting too addictive. Sometimes you gotta learn how to balance that, because it will, how do you explain this? For your mental health, is not good. You end up, you probably, if you don't control or learn that balance, you can end up losing your real job, or even having problems with the family. But you know, I was into that hole for a little bit, and I was like, this isn't me. Yeah, while I was away, there was a lot of community members asking where am I, how am I doing. That's really nice to see that you can have friends like that in the space, in the crypto space, you know.
The moments like that really showed me, like, okay, it's not really about the art. It's not really about making money. You form relationships and you form a network of people that you care about, and yeah, you make money together if you're part of the right communities. But I think it goes a lot deeper than that.
I think these are one of the positive things that comes out of this whole NFT culture is that community.
It's actually surprisingly a controversial topic, because some people say, if you say you're in it for the community, then just like leave, because you're not. Community doesn't last forever, and things change, people change, you know, and it's a kind of a sorry excuse for valuing an NFT. But I disagree with that take, and I think that community is one of the main utilities and one of the main things that like we should strive to be, you know, growing and incubating.
This idea of people collaborating towards a common goal, it's beautiful. It's something that I'm still lacking in my professional life as a filmmaker, because I work by myself. So I think there was something that I was looking for in the space that I kind of was drawn to, is this beauty of all of these people coming together and be like, okay, let's make this happen, whatever it is, you know. So basically, I'm trying to understand what really NFTs are about, and the idea is to ask you and other people from the community, what do you like about NFTs? Like, why are you still here? Like, what did you find interesting, and what are NFTs about, you know, for you?
Freedom. I think that's the easiest word, the one that summarizes very well Web3. I mean, freedom to own your assets, you know, freedom of ownership, freedom of speech, no censorship.
And the idea that it is democratic, the idea that is open source, the idea that it is, you know, argued about and discussed and voted on
in a decentralized fashion. I think this is what's really powerful to me, is kind of like this decentralized idea where everybody can contribute a little bit to the ecosystem, and all these small efforts combined together can create something very beautiful.
Once I sold out of the collection and had, the funds to kind of do what I wanted, I had a community member reach out to me and, say, it would be really cool if you donated to breast cancer research. And I was like, wow, this is like a big, I had a friend pass away from breast cancer, a longtime family friend. And I was like, this is like the perfect fit. So I became not just, someone that tweeted about titties for fun. I started doing it to try to raise breast cancer awareness while still having fun and feeling like I was spreading a message that wasn't just goofiness. It was about making a difference.
After all we have been through, everything that happened with Luna and blah, 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 and we are still here. And why we are still here, right? And this cannot just be monetary. It's a lot more.
It's more like a family that built through chaos, but maintained even stronger because of that chaos.
Whether that's music, art, digitalization of gaming, anything that it can possibly be, it's a place where you can kind of find a new group of friends, and they'll welcome you, they'll show you how to buy on their platform, what it's about, and you don't find that too many places right now.
You gotta play by the rules, no matter how much money you have or where you're coming from, because these people operate under completely different rules, which can be influenced by a trend, a meme, or feeling, just a color, whatever. It's not that logical. It's chaotic. It's organic.
Interacting with people from different cultures, with different backgrounds, different studies, different work, religions, different hobbies.
No one talks about race. No one talks about where you come from, what you do. No one really cares about that, and everyone's got a shared sort of interest.
This idea of putting, the horse before the cart in many ways, and creating a brand first and then creating a product second. That's, most business people would laugh in your face. Of course you don't do that. Why would you do that? But what happens if you do?
I fell into a rabbit hole, but I'm happy I did, because I've learned so much. And for as much as I felt like in a roller coaster, I think it was important as a journey.